Yesterday we spoke about priorities when it comes to fasting, how we should prioritize the stopping of sins before we get involved in extra good deeds, sunnahs. Now, it doesn't mean we don't do sunnah. What it does mean is that if you want to have maximum impact, it means it's better off stopping a haram than doing a sunnah. Anyway, I'll just talk about some of the issue of halal and haram just on that topic. As it's slightly connected, I wanted to talk about the issue of haram and halal in the first place. Two major principles. Some may have heard it already, some may not. The origin and the general rule for all things in this world, as it relates to daily life, is halal. So eat what you like, drink what you like, buy what you like, sell what you like. Anything you want to do in life, the general rule is that it's halal. And we only consider them to be haram, or the individual things to be haram, if there is evidence to support it. That's the general rule. And the opposite is the case with regards to religion. So affairs of the religion, of the deen, the origin is that it is haram unless there is evidence to support that it is halal. So you can't worship Allah the way you want to worship Allah. You can only worship Allah in the way He is stipulated explicitly. With regards to prohibitions, only that which Allah has specifically mentioned is prohibited is prohibited. So that's the general rule that we can apply to our daily lives. And even when it comes to our discussions, as I'm sure we have religious discussions amongst our friends, sometimes people ask me, what's the evidence to say that Milad al-Nabi is an innovation? And based on using this rule, we can easily say, Akhi, you've asked the wrong question. The right question would be, what is the evidence to support that it's legitimate? It's an act of worship, so therefore we need evidence for it. And likewise, if someone says to you, oh Akhi, what's your daleel, what's your evidence to say that this food you're eating is halal? So the right question is, what evidence is there to say it is haram? Not that what evidence there is to say it is halal. There are two lines of poetry by Shaykh Abdul Rahman al-Sa'di where he says, الأصل في الأبضاع واللحوم والنفس والأموال للمعصوم تحريمها حتى يجيء الحل فافهم هداك الله ما يمل. The general rule as it relates to the private parts and as it relates to marriage is that they are not your husband or your wife unless you can prove it by contract. And the general rule with regards to meat is that all meat is haram for you to eat and consume unless you can prove and have evidence to support that it was sacrificed correctly. And that all human life, Muslim and non-Muslim, they are forbidden for you to take and for you to kill someone unless there is a legislated means to prove that they deserve to die, as in the case if they were murderers or such. And the wealth of all of mankind that Islam comes to protect, the ma'soom, that Islam protects their wealth, is prohibited for you to take unless there is evidence to support it. And such evidence would be a contract of sale, or that they gift it to you, or something like that. So how do we use these principles in our daily lives? Very simple. Everything you want to do in your daily life, be confident that it is halal, unless you are also equally confident that it is haram. And as it relates to the religion, stay away from all things unless you are confident that it is halal, unless you have evidence to say it is halal. And this is interesting. When I first became Muslim, this is a funny story. I learned how to pray. I had to give a little book to learn to pray. And alhamdulillah, I did what I could. And one day I walked into the masjid, they were already in sujood. So I said to myself, how do I join that? What do I do? I mean, how do I join a salah? They've already done some rak'at. What do I do next? So I turned around and left. Why? Because I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to do something and make up Islam as I went along. I wanted to only make sure that I was doing that which was legislated. So I found out first, how do you join the salah? How do you continue after the taslim? And then, alhamdulillah, once that happened, then I knew what to do. It's important, everyone, that you do not act in Islam based on what I think, what it should be. We act only on evidence. As it relates to those four exceptions to the rule about the dunya, being marriage, meat, human life, and wealth, then straightforward. The first of those things is marriage. And that's a topic that everyone is interested in, marriage. Now, I wave the flag of making things easy. Anything which makes marriage difficult, remove it. Because often we have a whole list of things we want to consider and we think is important that in reality are not really important. And often the things you want to achieve before marriage can be achieved after marriage, i.e., I want to get to know them better, do I connect with them, and so on and so forth. All these things are shaitan putting extra barriers between you and fulfilling your desires in a halal manner. The reality is this: find someone who is relatively compatible, agree the terms and conditions, i.e. the mahar, and get married. As for meat, classic. I'm going to be controversial here. You have these HMC warriors that only eat HMC food. Don't make life difficult, ya ikhwan. If the meat is halal, it has a sticker say halal, eat the food. The question is, what is evidence that it is halal? In Islam, the evidence to prove that meat is halal is the statement of the person selling you says halal. If they are trustworthy Muslims, halal. Now don't get me wrong, eat the organic. Have the meat that is reared in the best possible manner and killed with a knife and mashallah. But suffice to say, if the meat is halal and they say it's halal, khalas. Aisha said, Ya Rasulullah, very these people come from the desert and they bring meat and we don't know if there's a bismillah when they're sacrificed. And Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, say bismillah, eat. Make life simple, not difficult. As long as a blade touched their neck and they were sacrificed before they died, it's halal. Human life is sacred. And if only the Muslims who decide to tie bombs to themselves and blow themselves up in shopping centres understood this. All life is sacred, Muslim, non-Muslim, it is protected. Only where Islam legislates and allows the taking of someone's life, it is allowed. But the asl, the general rule is that unless you have evidence to say this person's life should be taken and that you can do it, then it is haram and it is sinful. And the cases where a person's life can be taken, for example, is the case of murder. In Islamic law, if someone commits murder, then we have capital punishment where they are to be executed for their crime. And finally, the wealth of others. You cannot take their money or their wealth without it being legislated. So if you're doing a business, doing transaction, yes, if the transaction is halal and is legislated, then the transaction takes place and money changes hand. Otherwise, it is haram. And their item stays with them and your money stays with you. Hopefully you found these principles useful and you can apply them in your daily lives. We will try to focus on general principles in our videos so that you can apply them to more than one situation, not just individual fatwa. If you found our content useful, press the like button, share with your friends, subscribe to our channel and press the bell button, all the usual things, you know how it goes.